Hi everyone, this is Matt. Welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. We are going to be testing out some new standard decks after Theros Beyond Death. The first one up is Thassa Elementals. This is Crokeyz list. It is based around the interaction between Thassa, some of your enter the battlefield creatures, and some of these threaten effects that will allow you to steal your opponent's cards permanently as long as you can blink them with Thassa. So we're going to take this to the ladder and see how it plays out. So for those of you that haven't played in Theros Beyond Death Standard yet, it seems like there's a lot of brand new decks coming out of it. I'm hoping to try out at least 5 new decks over the next few days and post a video of each to the channel. I don't have a ton of experience with this deck, so it's quite possible we make a few mistakes, but hopefully we can learn something from it. Alright, this definitely looks good enough to keep, and we can accelerate into Omnath on turn 3. And with our Leafkin Druid out there, we can pick off a small creature. So it looks like we may be playing one of the new control decks. So hopefully we can get a few things down underneath any counter magic that they have. Probably going to be looking to board out our Claim the Firstborns. Even if they're Esper Hero, there's really only that one creature we can snag with Claim the Firstborn there. Well, the nice thing about this card is we'll at least know what they're planning to do on their next turn. And then Nissa obviously is a great card against any control deck. The combination of lands that become creatures and a planeswalker can be quite difficult for them to deal with. So they are planning to wipe our board next turn. Knowing that, I wonder if it's better not to play out Omnath. Playing out the Akroan War doesn't really do anything for us here. We could draw a card off Hydroid Krasis, or we could do nothing and let them either not get their 2 cards or only wipe our Druid. I think that's actually our best play here, so we're going to go ahead and pass the turn back. Alright, so at least they're not drawing their 2 cards there. Let's go ahead and see if we can land a Nissa. And the tricky thing here is we really would like to play out Paradise Druid. They do have Shatter the Sky in hand though, and that would wipe our land and our 2 creatures. So I think our best play here is to animate one of the non-forest lands, just to start generating a little bit of pressure without overcommitting. For those of you that haven't played with Nissa much, typically, unless you can do something with the mana that turn, you want to animate one of your non-forest lands so that you still can generate as much mana as possible in case they do kill that land or wipe the board. So next turn, we can look to resolve a fairly large Hydroid Krasis, or potentially an Omnath, depending on what they do here. So they are going to wipe the board, which leaves us in pretty good shape actually. I think this will be a good time. Well, we have a couple options. Can we play 2 cards this turn? We can. We can play Paradise Druid and Thassa, or Omnath and Paradise Druid. I kind of like the idea of getting Thassa down here. She won't be wiped away, if we animate the Stomping Ground and play a Paradise Druid, that does leave us in pretty bad shape if they have another board wipe. So I think I'm going to hold off on the Paradise Druid and just animate the Castle of Antris and start attacking. Oh, interesting. I haven't seen that yet, but not a big deal. And we can actually blink this to turn it back into a regular land and lose the So Tiny. Probably worth it, actually. So one of the fun things about a new set is you can see a lot of interactions you've never seen before and kind of work through them as they come up. So they are starting to generate some card advantage, but with both Thassa and Nissa down, we're in pretty good shape as long as we can continue to play around some of their major board wipes and other spells that could have a huge impact on the game. At this stage, I think we should probably start getting in with Omnath. And again, I'm going to play around the possibility of another board wipe by animating the non-forest land. We can start blinking Omnath at the end of every turn now to deal damage. And our Nissa is about to ultimate, so they have some problems they need to deal with. One thing I have noticed in the time playing this deck is that you don't often turn Thassa into a creature. It does take quite a bit of devotion to blue to get that going. More or less, she's really there just to blink your other creatures. So they did have another board wipe, so it's a good thing we didn't overcommit. At this point, we can play a Hydroid Crassus. Can ultimate Nissa, grabbing a ton of lands. Actually, I think that might be the play. Probably want to tap first, ultimate Nissa, play a Paradise Druid, and go from there. Let's go ahead. Alternatively, we could wait one more turn to do that and keep Nissa out there. Yeah, I kind of like that, actually. So let's go ahead, play a Paradise Druid, animate Castle of Antris, attack, and next turn we can ultimate Nissa. I think this puts a little bit more pressure on them and gives them more things they'll need to deal with. If we just ultimate Nissa, we will have a lot of mana. Oh, that sort of punishes us here, obviously.
I know my responsibility.
Imagine they're gonna bounce our land.
I've got it.
So we can take out Teferi this turn. One thing we can start thinking about is using our Neo form to get up to Risen Reef, which is a key card in this match. I do kind of like the idea of getting a Risen Reef going and bouncing it. Unfortunately, if we do that now, we won't be able to take out the Teferi. So is it worth it? I think it is, actually. I think we're going to go ahead and get our Risen Reef. Because the value we're going to start generating with that off of Thassa is going to be really helpful. And hopefully we'll get unstuck from our 2-land situation. And we found another Nissa. We're pretty far off of playing that, but we do have our engine online now, and we can look to take out the Teferi on another turn. Alright, and this is going to be pretty good for us because we're hopefully going to be able to claim the firstborn, and oh, we're going to be 1 mana short of doing that. Eventually we'll get the Akroan War to grab this. In the meantime, let's play out our Temple of Abandon. We want a Temple of Mystery on top. We do, because we're going to draw that when we blink the Risen Reef. I think it's actually worth simply stealing the Pegasus to attack to Fairy with, forcing a chump block. We have another Claim the Firstborn. There's not much else we're going to want to do with this. And we're going to go ahead and blink our Risen Reef and start generating some of that value. So they're out of cards. They do have a Teferi active, but we should be able to take care of that soon. And we're going to be able to Akroan War the Archon, which will be a huge swing.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
They are going to be able to start scrying each turn, but I'm not too concerned about that. Just the sheer amount of cards that we have should be enough to overwhelm them. So here we're going to Akroan War. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Archon, take out Teferi, blink the Archon, and keep it permanently. This might actually force a concession if they don't have any counter magic. It does not untap it, so we are going to have to wait 1 turn to take out Teferi. I guess they can now blink the Archon. That's one of those mistakes I was talking about that might happen. Force them to bounce it and lose their Teferi at least. Two to the top, so they found some action. Potentially another board wipe. So they are bouncing. Fairy is gone. They've got 3 cards in hand, including the Archon. They do have an enchantment here. Okay. So we do have another Thassa. We can keep our engine going. We also have another Risen Reef. I think getting another Risen Reef down is going to be key. These things can really start to add up. And if we're getting 2 triggers each time we get an elemental, we're going to be in pretty good shape. I don't see any reason to claim the firstborn here, so we'll just pass the turn. They're going to have to attack with everything. And then any Archon tokens will destroy themselves at the end of this turn. Still have a lot of life total to play with. I still feel like we're in pretty good shape here. Dream Trawler is a card. Luckily they only have 1 card in hand, so they are not going to be able to keep it invincible permanently. Go ahead and see what we've got. Omnath is a good one. I think I like the idea of Leafkin into Thassa. Or Leafkin into Omnath actually might be even better here. We Leafkin into Omnath, we'll take out the Archon of Sun's Grace. And then next turn we can start Thassaing again. They are going to return to Fairy. or the Archon Sun's Grace if we take it out. I think it's still a good target though. We'll go ahead and do that. And at least the Cavalier will be a good blocker for the Dream Trawler. We do now have a ton of lands in play, so we'll be able to start playing all our spells. Don't have any good attacks though. Be interesting to see if they choose the Archon or Teferi. Probably the Archon. Now, one thing I've played around with adding to this deck is the Endraze Forerunners. That is a 5 green creature that when it comes into play gives all your creatures +2/+2 vigilance and trample, just to have another way to finish out matches that are going long. I found that sometimes it can be a little bit hard to close out games with this deck. I don't have a great way to deal with the Dream Trawler, unfortunately. Play out our land. Counter on him. We can potentially Omnath multiple times to try to take it out. Let's go ahead and play Nissa. And actually, with Nissa, the auto tapper is not your friend, I found. We really don't want to tap any of our forest if we can avoid it.
I will aid you.
We'll go ahead and throw down Cavalier of Thorns. I like the idea of making this Risen Reef big enough to get in. Another Cavalier of Thorns. Grab another land. Don't think we need another Neoform. I think a Thassa is a good one to land. Untap a forest.
The land fights for us.
Lay out the Leafkin. So the big problem we have is we can't take out this Dream Trawler, and they are going to generate their own advantage from that. But at least the Cavalier of Thorns should be able to hold it at bay. Even if they can remove our first one, we do have another one that we'll be playing next turn. And we are going to just start drawing a ton of cards and adding a ton of counters with all the lands entering the battlefield. I think I'm okay trading the Risen Reef for the Archon at this point. Maybe not. Well, they have quite a few flyers, so we are going to offer that trade. So here I'm going to blink Omnath. Alright, try to pick up the Archon. continue to add some counters. And pitch a second Omnath, a Paradise Druid, and a Steam Vents. And a Temple of Abandon. So one of the problems I found with this deck is you can deck yourself. And that's another reason I was thinking about adding the End-Raze Forerunners, just to have a way to really close out these games where you've got your engine going, but you're getting near the end of your deck. One nice thing is Thassa will be online soon if we can find a couple more pips of Blue Devotion. Actually, maybe... yeah, we have 4 right now. We just need 1 more. So the Hydroid Crassus will turn Thassa online as well. Alright, let's see what their plan is for the next turn. Alright, that is something that we are not too afraid of. And I don't think they can really attack here. Oh, I take it back. I guess they can. Well, we are going to block if we get the opportunity. I do not understand that. I guess they're really just looking for an answer. If that's the case, then we are in pretty good shape here, and we can start going straight to the face when we blink on that. They are going to take out our Thassa here. We're still in pretty good shape, though. We do need to be careful, though. We only have 11 cards left in our deck. So, let's first see if we've got any basic lands left. We do not. I don't really think our life total matters here. But we can hold off a second on playing out the breeding pool. Perhaps a big Crassus to get in some trample damage would be good. Start with this. And go ahead and steal their guy. We can untap here. Don't think we're going to be ultimating Nissa, so I don't mind throwing another one down, just trying to put as much pressure on as possible.
My elemental friend.
We will play out this. Go ahead and add another counter here. And we only have 5 cards left, so we cannot play Cavalier of Thorns. We can, at the end of turn, Neoform and grab a Thassa. Do I have a Thassa left is the question. Don't actually think I do. Let me cancel that. Alright, let's hope they don't have an answer, and we'll discard down. So, unless they can wipe the board on this turn, we are going to take it down. They're looking. Alright, they've got one chance to draw an answer. they will be able to draw 2 cards here, but does that even give them enough mana to wipe the board? I don't think it does. Oh, Shatter the Sky. Okay. Shatter the Sky, if they find it, we'll get them out of this. And they didn't get there, so we take a very long, very exciting game 1. Alright. As I mentioned, I don't think Claim the Firstborn is very good against a control deck at all. I definitely... Oh, and they've just conceded. So, in our first video, we win our first match with Thassa Elementals. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll be back tomorrow playing another new deck from Theros Beyond Death Standard. Bye.